Hey everyone, it's Norm here from Tested and want to share with you some of my favorite things of the year, or as I like to call it, things I love using this year that I never got a chance to film a video about. I got a bunch of stuff this year. I'm going to split them into a couple groups, and the first group is all about USB. We can't live without it. It's everywhere. We sometimes hate it, especially all different variations of USB-C, but I thought it'd be a good way to group for some reason, it all just made sense. The first piece of tech was something I just started using this year, and it's this guy. It's called the Charger Lab Power Z, and it's a USB tester. Very simple device. It has a USB-C input and USB-C, I guess, male and female ports, but it acts as a way to gauge your power consumption and the current, the voltage, and total power consumption across devices. So in testing lots of gear, this is a very easy and convenient way for me to plug in on one end a new gaming device that consumes some power, plug the other end into a USB PD power adapter, and then really get a real sense of what the power draw is as I'm using that device. And it works with all sorts of USB devices. The UI has a really bright and highly detailed OLED screen here. So tons of detail. You can actually see the total watt hour of power consumed over time. So you can kind of leave this on and plugged in. And I've used this for long-term power duration testing, power draw testing, a really fun piece of tech to kind of keep in my backpack as a everyday carry. Plugging into this, though, a bunch of other things that you can run, a USB cable. So this is a kind of a novel, I've seen these have been around for a while, but it's a magnetically attached and detachable USB cable. This one, in this case, is USB-C. So one end, you plug power in, and the other end looks like a similar USB-C port, but this actually detaches and is a magnetically detachable connector. It's kind of like their own version of a MagSafe connector. And what's novel about this is you can see the rings here, the concentric rings on the that end. That aligns with the row of contacts on this end, which means that you could technically have some flexibility in rotating this while still maintaining your power, your connection. It does technically also work for data, although I wouldn't trust it for that, and it is capped at USB 2.0 speeds, 480 megabits per second. But I don't use this for transferring data. I actually use this for charging a lot of items I have on my display shelf, kind of like this One Company tricorder. This One Company tricorder has a USB-C port in the back that needs to keep charged, but I have it on my desk. And if I just had it plugged into a standard USB port, it makes it kind of a little cumbersome to detach it if I want to hold it and play with it, which I do oftentimes. I love holding and playing with this thing. But if I have this end plugged in and this snake around my desk and plugged into power, I can very easily just separate that and play with it. Super reliable. And works just well. And it comes with a bunch of different adapters. So you can have USB-A on one side or USB mini on the other side as well. So a USB power cable. USB also good for storage as well. So I got two USB storage devices I want to share with you. We've tested a bunch of 3D printers this year, and the new Bamboo printers all require a USB stick for storing the files that you send to it, as well as the video that you might be recording to, like time lapses. And I have one recommendation for that, and that's this small 256 gig Samsung USB thumbstick. I love it because it's low profile, so it plugs right into our Bamboo printers right here. And it's sturdy, so it's not gonna get knocked over or bent. If you have a tall USB stick, I always worry about those getting bent, and plenty of capacity, and it's fast enough for not only storing the files, but also recording that video. So if you have a new Bamboo printer, you get one of these. I also love the fact that you can get a USB stick now that is basically an NVMe SSD. This is a 2 terabyte USB stick, and it has both USB-A and USB-C. And this one, I think, is made by Patriot. It's the Viper portable SSD, like $144, and it also has this nice sound to it. It's a great little fidget toy. Made of metal because these SSDs do get a little warm. So I wouldn't like edit video off of this, although you can, but I've booted, Windows from this. I've used it to just transfer massive amount of data between my laptop and my computer, and 2 terabytes in a USB stick form factor. That's kind of crazy. My last bit of USB kit takes advantage of USB's ability not just to transfer data, but also video with DisplayPort Alt. And that's these X-Real display glasses. I've tested a bunch of these types of display glasses this past year, from Veacher, from X-Real. I think they're all pretty good. My go-to one at the end of the year, the one I put in my backpack for a plane ride, has been the X-Real 1 series. And this one is the X-Real 1 Pro. There's X-Real 1, slightly more affordable, which works just as well, but has a built-in IMU on the inside, so you get stabilized head tracking, 3-degree of freedom tracking, and the addition of the X-Real Eye accessory adds 6 degrees of tracking, which makes this really good for plugging into something like a Steam Deck, or your latest iPhone or Android phone with DisplayPort over USB to use as a remote monitor, or your laptop as well. So my go-to display glasses that showcase the robustness and wonder, but also the needlessly complex and sometimes frustrating attributes of the USB protocol. Okay, on to the next batch of items. So I got 2 pieces of photography and video gear I want to talk about this year. They're both on this table, and they're both small form factor, going small. The first is this DJI Osmo 3. It's been out for way over a year now, and the rumors are that maybe by the time this video is out, that the Osmo 4 might already be announced, but I am a convert to the Pocket 3. It's been my favorite camera almost to use this year. It actually is even smaller than this. This is the camera itself. We started using an DJI gimbal with the Ronin camera gimbal earlier this year, and this is kind of like that. I remember the first Osmo that we saw at CES way back in like 2012, and that had its own dedicated giant camera on it. It's now shrunk down to this with a full 1-inch size sensor, the ability to do all kinds of stabilization moves. You can have it easily flip back to you. You can easily have it frame your subject and do some subject tracking with this. It also works with a bunch of different adapters that have it at extra battery life, or a lot of third-party adapters as well. And on a micro SD card that you plug in here, which I have like a 512 micro SD card, you can store hours and hours of footage. I've been actually trying to get Adam to use this to shoot a one-day build for the past half year, and he's shot some footage with it, but I think it's perfect. It also pairs really well with the DJI mics, and so this is a DJI Mic 2, and there's the new DJI Mic 3 that's already out, and these are great mics, and you've seen TikTokers and YouTubers holding these mics or having them clipped to their lapels. And the one awesome thing I found is because of how popular this camera has become for vloggers and content creators, there's an incredible ecosystem of accessories and support products that people have made to make this even more useful. And so you can buy things like clamps that can magnetically attach this camera, which might work great in a workshop environment where you have a ton of metal tools. You can have clamps that can attach this to a cold shoe. So you can actually, I've seen people mount this camera on top of other cameras for behind the scenes footage recording, for extra wide angle view. The front here, the lens actually has a magnet behind it. And so the kit comes with a ultra wide angle lens attachment, but you can also buy NDs, variable NDs, if you want to shoot outside and have this record at your 24 frames per second and 1/48 shutter. I've been using this on location, going to events, so filming WWDC this year. I've been trying to film a bunch of short videos. You may have seen some videos on Tested with me filming with this, and it really is really versatile. The only downside is that it is a fixed aperture, so while you get, because of its one-in sensor and lens, you get some nice shallow depth of field, you're kind of locked in to that depth of field. So you can get up close to subjects and bring things up close and get some nice macro shots, but if you want to flatten an image, you can't really do that with this camera. But the size of it allows us to go into interesting places, under interesting things. We did a video series with Dell Alienware this year, and we were able to put this camera inside the chassis of the computer to get some really cool, almost like snorkel lens shots. Even works with the iFootage slider with an adapter, so you can use this like a motion-controlled Ronin, but again, in this ultra small form factor. They've been kind of hard to get, because they've been so popular and because of the ongoing trade difficulties between DJI and the US. But if you look online, there are actually some third-party brands that might be the same product under a different brand that is basically the same Osmo Pocket 3. So you can check those out as well. I have some links in the description. I've been totally sold on the Pocket 3 and very excited for what DJI might do with a rumored Pocket 4. Moving on to another small camera, and small is the emphasis here. I've also loved using this macro lens attachment for my iPhone. And I got the new iPhone this year, so this is Sandmarc's new iPhone 17 case, but it's the same 17mm threaded attachment for all of these common accessories. And so this 100mm macro lens has been my favorite for capturing, specifically for my personal passion, 1/6 scale figures. So here's an easy way for me to incorporate some of that obsession here. This is the Wolverine from Deadpool and Wolverine from Hot Toys. Just came in earlier this month, and it's one of their best ever. And it's been really hard normally to capture the detail of like the paint job, the likeness, especially their incredible head sculpts with like a normal macro camera that you have on a phone or even DSLR. But using this camera attachment, plugs it to the phone, it attaches over the largest sensor on the iPhone. You get some really incredible close-up shots that let you see all that paint detail. That's just really nice. It is, again, like your phone, it is fixed aperture, so you're locked to the depth of field of the phone plus this lens. But I've loved taking photos of my collectibles, and especially this guy. Here's one cool aspect that people might not know, is that the faces are swappable, and the teeth of these figures are actually separately molded and cast dentures that they plug into the back of the other injection molded face part. And that's one of the reasons that Wolverine's growl here looks so lifelike. Most of their high-end figures now come with also movable eyes. And so if you pop off the neck, you can actually position the eyeballs and have him looking wherever you want, which really, I think, adds to the believability and posability and fun of these 6 scale figures. This is their best one yet. I can't believe how much detail is in this. You can't even see the seam line. I can't see a seam line for the hair here. Normally you might see like a seam along the top and the sides. That's not visible here. Silicone arms. I cannot gush enough about this. Okay, a really cool video camera, a really cool photo camera accessory, and a miniature figure to go along with it. On to the next batch. All right, this last batch of goodies are a bunch of things that I've brought into my life because as a dad with 2 kids, I have so many things I need to fix, build with them, more activities, more projects to do than I have time for. So I got 2 I find essential tools that I've been using in being a parent. The first is just a renewal of an iFixit toolkit. So this is their Pro Tech toolkit. I've had the more like robust and complex iFixit toolkits, but this one I like because it has just the bare essentials and what you need to take apart a kid's toy, to use a spudger to pry something open, to repair, this was made to repair phones, but it works great for maybe disconnecting a speaker from a kid's toy. You don't need all the security bits that you might have from a more high-end toolkit, but this is everything you need that you'd find in a children's toy or something you use to put together something for your kids. My kids are also riding bikes now and playing a lot of like after-school sports. And what I found essential that like no other parent has yet is a miniature pump. And it's a powered pump. It's powered over, you're charged over USB-C. But once you have this charge, I keep this in my glove compartment, and you set your PSI. You plug it in with either directly into the bike or into a ball with an adapter, and you press go, and it will just fill up that tire, that ball, all the way up to your desired PSI up to 150. It's been a godsend for the various inflatables that we have, whether it's inflatable for a pool trip, a short bike ride, or just going to the playground and walking around with this, seeing other kids, going to other parents. It's a great way to break the ice and say, hey, want some help filling up that flat tire over there? No one has this. I can't believe it. This one's made by Hodo Tools. I think there are a bunch of different ones on the market, but I like the look and design of this one. For a bunch of projects we do around the house, if you have kids, your house is probably littered with tons of drawings and paper and half-finished projects. What we found super helpful and useful is having a rolling cart. And we have your standard like metal IKEA 3-tier rolling carts, and we keep our craft, pencils and tools in them. But what I've loved using this year is from WorkPro, a collapsible rolling cart. This travels with us all the time. You're going to a birthday party and you need to set something up. Boom, 3 tiers, very lightweight, sturdy enough to hold your cupcakes or your craft projects. And the best part is because it's collapsible, our house rule is that when you're done, you must collapse it. Things do not get to live on this cart forever. It is a temporary use cart, and so you don't have half-finished projects all over the place. And this tucks right into the pantry. Comes on casters. It's not the most sturdy. They do lock, but it is so lightweight and useful. We might be picking up more of these for the house and the garage. Also work, if you want to do garden projects, also works for your backyard. I love using this WorkPro collapsible cart, which unlocks just there, and there we go. Speaking of projects, I want to share 2 types of projects. Having a lot of fun this year with my kids. The first are these laser cut dioramas. We've built like 3 of them this year, and this is one of them. They're fairly complex. This is definitely not like a project that you just give to a 6-year-old or a 5-year-old to do by themselves. This is something to do with them. And they're laser cut, but the dioramas, like especially these ones with these bookshelves, something that you might not notice, that each one of the books in the bookshelf is a tiny piece of laser cut wood with a sticker wrapped around it like the book cover. And I would not believe, I was so surprised how willing and eager a group of 6-year-olds were to sit at a table a whole afternoon and build tiny miniature books with their tiny miniature fingers for a whole afternoon. And so they helped me build this diorama, my kids and their friends in the neighborhood. Really delightful, and it comes with lighting, and this one I like because it looks like an open book as well. A bunch of different brands make these. I don't have a specific recommendation, so I'll include some links to the ones I've built that I really liked, also in the description. But these laser cut dioramas with a ton of busy work for kids who need busy work. And then finally, this is something I didn't even know existed until I visited a local fun activity center in the local Golden Gate Park field office. And I guess you can call this a light box, but it's not a box. It's kind of like a light panel. And I didn't know they made these this thin and this big, but the idea is there's LEDs lying around here. There's a diffuse surface, and you can illuminate it. It's bi-color. You can adjust the brightness, and my two kids sit on opposite ends, and they can trace on this for hours. It's bright enough that it will shine through all sorts of artwork that we might print out for them. They're practicing their handwriting, they're drawing, copying each other. And again, the size of this makes it work for multiple kids actually be able to use it at the same time. I've also used this with printing some translucent panels with the UV printer and then putting on this light box to illuminate them as a display. And I have been known in a pinch when doing some late night photography work to brace this against the side of a table or even mount it and use it as a light panel, a diffuse light panel for miniature photography work. They make them in all sorts of sizes. I just like getting the biggest one, and this very compact and slides away and tucks away behind the desk when you're not using it. So loving this. My kids absolutely love this. All right, those are some of my favorite things this past year. Of course, we'd love to hear the things that you recommend, the things that the projects that you've been doing with your kids, if you have them, and if you collect figures like I do, what your favorite figure of the year has been so far. We have a lot more coming from the rest of the team, but thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you so much for watching that video. If while watching any of my videos you like any of the t-shirts that you see me wearing, well, you can go buy them. And there's two places you can get them. First, you can go to tested-store.com, a web address that my crew laughs is one of the hardest things for me to remember in my whole brain. But now they've given me a second URL. You can now go to adamsavage.com and buy any of the t-shirts you see me wearing on this channel. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff there too. Thanks.